Vasquez.
You've both been on the streets of downtown Portland and seen the extent of the drug problem. If elected, what specific steps would you take as DA to make downtown safer immediately? Mr. Vasquez, could you start us off, please?
Well, I'm glad to see that recently the elected DA came out and started actually going out with officers to look on the street and see what has been happening so brutally since the passage of Measure 110 that he championed. For me, it will be absolutely about a twofold approach. It will be bringing back accountability, because we need compassionate accountability in our community. We got away, sadly, from actually doing misdemeanors. That was the pledge of Mike Schmidt when he ran in 2020, was to stop doing as many misdemeanors as possible and to stop prosecuting minor felony crimes. And it's led to a situation where it feels like no rules Portland. I will rebuild community courts. I will create the accountability that this community wants in a compassionate manner. And above all, my approach is going to be to create 3 specific teams to crush the cartels that are delivering deadly poison on our streets every day right now, that the everyday person can go out and see happening and has been seeing happen for the last 4 years.
Thank you. Mr. Schmidt.
Yeah, well, Mr. Vasquez can't help himself but to lie about things. There's never been a policy to stop prosecuting misdemeanors or low-level felonies. That's just part of the misinformation that he and a bunch of his backers are pushing. And you can look at the numbers. Our felony and misdemeanor prosecution rates are as high as they've been in the last 7 and 8 years. So with that aside, you don't have to ask what I would do. You can ask what I have done. I was on the governor's task force that was tasked with revitalizing downtown Portland, focusing on bringing it back. I fought for resources to get an access attorney in Old Town. So we have what we brought back was the old neighborhood attorney program. We call it our access attorney program, but now I have one assigned to Old Town to work specifically with those communities and businesses. We've developed cases out of that. I went down to Salem and I fought for $400,000 to help fund Clean and Safe, because we know that our Portland police resources have been stretched very thin, but we still need those eyes on the streets. And so getting that additional $400,000 for Clean and Safe was an absolutely crucial thing that we can do. I'll continue to fight for Old Town. I've been walking around downtown since I became the district attorney, and nothing's new about that. But I'm also focused on the entire community and the entire Multnomah County, not just downtown.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, I appreciate you keeping your answers to time so far. That allows us to cover as much ground as possible here. Next question, we're going to move on to the topic of homelessness here. If Portland enacts a camping ban that is constitutional, would you prosecute people who violate that ban up to and including jail time? And would it be a priority for your office? Mr. Schmidt.
Yeah, if we can get a constitutional camping ban, we would prosecute those cases. Jail would be a last resort. I think our goal would be to help connect people to treatment and resources. We know that the answer for people who are houseless is to get them into housing. Jail is a very expensive housing option, and it's not very good at long-term success. So my goal with prosecution would be to get them connected. I've partnered now locally. We have 8 different community-based organizations we're working on our MOU, our Memorandum of Understanding right now, to set up a program like what we've seen in other cities across the country. We went down to San Diego to visit what they've done. They've had it for 2 decades, and what they have is service providers who are working with people who want to do the work. They're engaging in treatment, mental health treatment, addiction treatment, whatever they need. And if they're putting in the work, then the treatment or the organization writes the district attorney a letter and says, we need you to help this person reduce the barriers that they're facing. Because frequently the things that keep people out of housing are old convictions on their records, or maybe even a low-level misdemeanor that they're facing currently. So if they're doing the hard work, we need to meet them where they're at and help them get into housing and reduce those barriers.
Thank you, Mr. Vasquez. Same question, 60 seconds.
And this is one where the devil's in the details. Again, what you hear from Mike Schmidt are ways to dismiss more cases. And really, when he talks about things like his issuance rates in the last question, what he left out was that the actual number of cases that we as a district attorney's office prosecute has wildly went down, cut by half in some cases. So what we're really looking at here is when we want to answer this question about would I prosecute individuals if this law was constitutional? The answer is yes. I'm the one that actually is out there involved, working with the community. I'm the one that actually wrote the MAPS program where it put DAs out there to work in the community. I'm the one that helps connect our community members specifically in ways in which we can look at how do we transition folks from being in custody to housing. In particular, I've worked with a service coordination team for years, and this is a great program that pairs up individuals struggling with homelessness, and it gets them into the resources and the treatment they need. It's been my practice for over 20 years to be involved in this, and I will always continue to be in that vein.
I just want to clarify very briefly here, you would prosecute cases up to and including jail time?
Yes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Vasquez.